It's no accident that sounds like you're leveling up in a video game. 48% of 18 to 29-year-olds have an online dating profile.
Make them work for it.
45% of people say they're more frustrated with this form of dating than hopeful.
There are so many people you can connect with.
Should I swipe right?
Swipe wrong. Swipe wrong. Setting the record straight on dating apps. Everyday people telling everyday stories of the swipe right world with your host, Chaos.
Well, I know he had a good time.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night, whenever you listen to the podcast. Welcome to the Swipe Wrong Podcast. I'm Chaos. Welcome to the #1 podcast amongst fluffers everywhere. Not even just up the street or down the street, but everywhere. So we're doing something a little different this week. So we're in between. We're in the upside down, I think is a good way to put it. Season 2 is over. We're working on season 3. But between season 2 and season 3, we're going to give you some bonus material, things like what we're doing right now. The beauty of what Jay has done so well is he's the brains behind the operation, and he's got it to where we've got a lot of bonus material, a lot of stuff that you'll hear from the people that did each episode. But you know, we try to keep each episode between 35 and 50 minutes long at the most, but sometimes the interviews go beyond that, or there's just other stories that might fit in a little bit better. Well, this one, it was set up for our YouTube channel. So if you don't know about that, just check that out. That's on Swipe Wrong Pod. So you could see this face, and you can see what we're about to show you, but it'll also be uploaded as like a regular podcast. So the upside down is the time. So we're trying to, like, Jay's great about trying to bring you new content every week. So even when we're in the upside down, that you're getting something new to listen to as you tune in every Monday. So this is from the young lady who gave us the first episode of The Polygamist, and she is so cool. Like, I didn't get to know her until we talked for the episode, and I've gotten to meet her since. And such an awesome, fun, charismatic woman, and beautiful at that too. So nice that you get some video to go along with this. But she had another story that when we were done talking, she's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot to tell you about this incident." And so that is this incident. That being said, sit back, relax, put your feet up, grab your popcorn, get it buttered if you want to get it buttered, or don't get it buttered, throw some salt on there, whatever you want to do. Works out just fine for me. And if you're in traffic, you know the rules. Don't hit that person next to you. Don't do that. Don't. And enjoy putting the K in Kara.
Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions or any entities they represent. This podcast is about dating experiences. It is not to say one dating app is better or worse than another.
I'm in Bally's and I'm recording in this hotel room, and I think I'm just wondering what all the different things that have happened in this room over the past 10 years have. Like, I just hope
I don't think you want to think about that.
No, yeah. Like,
I wouldn't want to think about that.
Can you imagine walking into a hotel room in Vegas or Nashville or fucking Mudlick, Kentucky, and let's just say on the side they had to say every single thing that's happened in this room over the last decade, and you got to read and just be like, damn, I think I'm going to get a tent. All right, so I forget exactly what we're going. Oh, I do kind of remember now. So this story is one of those stories after you and I talked, you're like, oh my God, how did I forget to tell him about this one, right?
Yes, totally. Yeah.
All right.
I was actually trying to think last night about why. Oh, I remember why it popped in my brain. You know how sometimes you're going through an old text message looking for something?
Sure.
So I was doing that, and then I had told a friend about this story, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot to tell him this. So So this
Love it.
I think this was like, yeah, this was last summer because I was actually still, on the apps or whatever.
Sure.
So at any rate, I matched with this guy on Bumble, and he like instantly, we start firing texts, going back and forth. And I'm like really excited. The guy seems really cute. Like we're carrying on a good conversation. And I'm like, this is great. I was also like, I was in bed and I was like, shit, I didn't mean to start this like whole thing. And I wanted to go to sleep, but whatever, it's going. So then all of a sudden I'm trying to remember exactly what he asked me, but he asked me, I think he asked me about like being with multiple partners or something. And I was like, no, that's not really my thing, not what I'm looking for. But like, if that's your thing, totally cool, whatever. And so then he gets more into it, and he's like, well, I'm married and my wife and I are looking for a third. And I was like, oh, I love how people don't fucking put this on their profiles. I actually love the people that put it on their profile and like it's out there. So right away, like if you're into it, you can swipe on it. And if you're not, like don't. So it's like, it sucks when they throw this at you, however far into it, which in this case, wasn't into it, but I've had times when it's been much later and you're like, wow, wasted all my time. Damn. But at any rate, so he says him and his wife are looking, and I'm like, that's cool. Good luck to you guys. Not what I'm into, but thanks for being upfront about it. I appreciate your honesty. And he comes back again and he's like, are you sure you're sure? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm really sure about this. I got it.
Bro, I was on the fence. Until you said, are you sure? And then I'm like, oh, what am I missing? Oh, I'm into this now. Thanks for asking.
Right. Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm good. I got it, And he comes back like again, and I'm like, dude, like, why are you being? I'm starting to get agitated now, right? Like, knock it off, leave me alone. I'm like, am I gonna have to block you? What's going on? And so he's like, all of a sudden, he's like, well, this is just really hard for me. I was really hoping that you were gonna be the one to be in on this. And I'm like, so now my curiosity's peaked, right? I'm like, why am I the one? Like, why is this so important to you? Right. And he's like, so I have to ask a question. I'm like, okay, like, why me? Why were you really hoping that this was going to work out? And he's like, well, my wife's name is Kara. Your name is Kara. And I've always had this fantasy that I could just say the name Kara in bed and I wouldn't be wrong. And I was like, he's like, do you know how hard, like Kara is not a very common name. Do you know how hard it is to find two Karas that want to be in bed with me at the same time? I was like, oh my God. Like, you can't make this shit up.
Beautiful. Like, I've heard stories about guys asking reasons for threesomes. Like, hey, I just want you to dress up like there's one, like the Winnie the Pooh skit. I think we talked about a one, and then Tut looks like rain. I think was the episode, but not like what kind of compliment is it to you to say, cause of your name? It's not like cause you're a beautiful, gorgeous, amazing woman. It's like, you have the perfect name. Like, you're like, bro, if I was 250 pounds and threw in 6 Snickers in bed with me, you could still say the same name. What?
Right. What? I'm like, if this is a threesome, like, is your wife on board with this? Like, she wants? Like,
yeah. Did you ask him that?
Did you vet me with her? Like oh, he did say, he's like, we both think you're really attractive and whatever.
Okay. Well, yeah. You're a beautiful woman, absolutely. But oh my God. My God.
Like, wow. This is new and interesting. Okay.
Did you keep like kind of carrying the conversation on just to see what Pandora's box might open?
No, I said, I was like, I'm really sorry to disappoint you and not be the one that can fill this fantasy for you, but I'm sure there's somebody out there that can. I'm sure there's somebody who won't care if you say the name Kara, like, especially your wife.
I wonder if he just looks up on Facebook for women named Kara and just starts instant messaging them, because you can't send me, you can't check in the app. Like, here's my filters. I want blah, 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 and the name Kara. I'm sure he's looking for that. Oh, girl, you are too funny. Well, so let me ask you this. Like you said, like you get approached every now and then, I'm sure it's pretty rare, but about guys who are already with their wives and looking for, I guess, a third. They're already married, but they don't say it in the profile. So this has happened to you a few times, or am I misunderstanding?
Definitely.
How in the fuck does that play out?
I think similarly, like, I think they've started off, I think when you're in the whole dating app world, at some point, and this is always the game, right? At some point, questions about sex start to come up.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's always about, like, especially I think people that are, that's an important thing for them, is it's like they want to see if they're compatible with that person. Like, is this person open to, sexual experiences and whatever. So it usually comes up in that context in some fashion. Like, are you open to a threesome, or have you done one before? Something along those lines. I feel like it comes up. Or it's been like this guy where it's like, well, to be honest with you, I'm in a relationship, or I'm married and we are looking for a third, or I'm in this, ethically, non-monogamous relationship and we're looking for a third. Something along those lines. And you're just like, I mean, it's so funny to me. My sister actually said this to me once a couple of years ago, and it's totally true. She's like, I actually give credit to the people that put in their profile that they're married and not in a ethically non-monogamous relationship, but like they just put on their profile, I'm married. And you're like, thanks for being honest about that. Like, so I can make my decision and swipe left on you, but because I think I talked about this before, like I've dated guys who were in relationships or married that I didn't know were in relationships.
Right.
So I appreciate it when it's in your profile and I don't have to like make that decision.
So let's talk about this real quick. Maybe you can help me with this. I don't think you'll have the answer, but it'd be fun to talk about. So a guy who says he's married in his profile, I believe I've ran into a lot of women who are married. Probably not as many women as there are men. I think a married woman who sees a married man on there would be more apt to swipe if they see that.
Ooh, that's a good question.
I think when I've ran into married women in the past on there, and it's not like they said, hey, by the way, I'm married. I'm just looking for, to hang from a chandelier and have a good time. I think sometimes it's like an emotional connection. Like they want the good morning texts, or they want the just the emotional attachment, not necessarily. And then once you're like, hey, why don't we meet? It's like all of a sudden the ghosting had happened. I'm like, that was my feel. So I wonder if a married man or a married woman puts in there, if the married man or other side would be more apt to swipe.
Right. Because, I think it depends on like what they're looking for. Right. So I agree with you. I think there are married people, men and women, who aren't actually looking to pursue an in-person relationship. They're looking for that, like you said, attention or emotional connection on the side. And so the threat, like if you're with somebody else who's married, then there's like potentially, at least, they're not going to be as inclined to try to meet and hang and like actually cross that line of physicality that some people draw, even though they're, to me, crossing a line by having a whole emotional relationship with somebody else. So
totally.
I think that could be true. On the flip side, I think if they are looking for that physical connection or relationship, maybe they're willing to, I don't know. I was going to say maybe they're willing to destroy their own marriage, but not somebody else's. But I mean, I kind of feel like if you're willing to destroy your own, you're willing to do whatever.
Yeah,
I mean, my husband's wife or girlfriend was married as well. And, they didn't have any care in the world about it.
I guess it truly does depend, because I could also see two married people more apt to cheating with each other, because they might also believe that neither one will leave their marriage, and like, hey, they're already in a marriage. They're in a marriage, may not go. Yeah, the attachment issue, like from a single person, may not come into play.
Right. Right. Absolutely. And I could especially see that, and I'll be a jerk here and put a stereotype on guys, but I could especially see that guy that's married, that's looking for something on the side.
Sure.
Like, it has no intentions of ever leaving the relationship.
Mhm.
That he's like another married woman. He might be more inclined to be like, okay, I don't have to, it's not as big of a risk.
And 100% not a jerk, because it's 100% more common. Like, you absolutely see that all the time. Like, so it's what you've experienced. So it's like Ashley Madison on steroids, I think.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's how it makes me feel. All right.
But I agree with you. I do, like, as you do this more often, that is, I think, a big, you call it yellow flag, red flag, when you're talking to somebody and they keep putting off the let's meet, you know, or again, like the texts are at, you know, very specific times of the day. It starts to be a cue to me that they're probably in a relationship with somebody else. Like when they're saying that, one of our friends, she has a rule. She's like, if they're not trying to meet me within a week, I'm out, done, delete.
Yeah. Ain't nobody need a pen pal.
Exactly. And it's like, what's the rationale for that pen pal? You know, I mean, because it's usually, you know, unless they're very upfront and saying like, hey, I happen to be going on vacation next week and I won't be back for 2 weeks, but I'd really love to meet up with you when I get back and let's stay in touch. Then it's like, okay, that's just bad timing. Fine. But
for sure.
If it continues after that or, you know, whatnot, then it's like, yes.
Yeah. So I stopped on the apps for a while, and it's not for really any other reason of like, oh my God, it's train wreck. And when I stopped on the apps, I kind of switched it over to like, hey, I'm messing around with this podcast. I put the logo in there and all this. And then when I started kind of back on the apps to kind of talk to people about the podcast more than anything, I've had like 4 or 5 people cuss me out because they're like, what are you really trying to do? Are you trying to get, what's going on? Like, this seems like some sort of scam or setup. This is fucking bullshit. I had one lady say, there's nothing different now between dating in the 90s. And I went, what the fuck are you, where were you in the 90s? I needed to know what you were doing because my punk ass was skywriting. Please go out with me. Here's my phone number. Like, that was the closest internet connection I fucking had. So yeah,
do they think that you're like connecting, like matching with them because you want to like make an episode out of it or something?
I think a couple of people think there's something like that. And like I've kind of gone through both. I've gone through like hey, no, it's still trying to meet the right person, and hey, by the way, you know, I do this as well, so you should know. By the way, you're not the only one that attracts the crazy. And I think so many people are leery.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, it's almost like the Taylor Swift song to me, where it's like, talking to me, just so you know, my disclaimer is you may end up being discussed on an episode. It's like, you date Taylor, she's going to write a song about you, right? It's like the same thing.
Right. Well, and as you know, like, hey, you don't want it on there. We're like, there's more than enough. But
also like
leery.
Your episode, I mean, there's probably episodes about great experiences you've had with people online or whatever. And then there's going to be episodes about the train wrecks. And like, if you happen to be a train wreck, I mean, that's not my fault. Like, that's on you. And right, like, you can disguise their name or not give, specific details about that person. But like, I don't have a fear of being on somebody's podcast because I'm not an asshole. Like, right. So like, what are you going to say about me? I mean, and that's like, even with the whole polygamist, it was like, what are you going to do? Like, I didn't scream or yell at you. I didn't key your car. I didn't tell your kids. Like, I told you you're kind of a jerk. And I said it in an actually very nice and polite way. I laughed. So like, what do you have to say about me? Nothing. Like, well, did I tell you? I was just thinking about this or something. Did I tell you about when a friend and I matched on the same guy on the same day and we were both talking to him?
No, I don't think you did.
I just remember
about the Christmas Day one or something, or Valentine's Day one, I think.
So this is funny because actually, Maggie and our friend Heather with her friend Laura that they do the podcast with.
Okay.
They would share. Like, I'm talking to this guy and they would screenshot it to each other because this had happened to them where they had unknowingly been dating the same guy. And so from that point forward, they were like sharing. So now this is like a thing that we do where like, if we get with a guy that we're really like kind of interested in or talking to or whatever, it's like you send it to the group chat because, you know, you don't want your other friend to be dating him. But so I had never experienced this before until this was like the end of the summer. I don't even actually, it may have even been later than that. It might've been like September, October. And I matched with this guy on Bumble. And we start talking, and again, it's the rapid fire text, like immediately it was a Sunday, like afternoon. And so that whole like Sunday afternoon, evening, we're chatting. And to the point that we actually exchanged phone numbers. So I like broke my rule there. I don't know why I did that, but I did. We all make bad decisions sometimes.
Sure.
So anyways, then I get this text from him and he's like, hey, I have something I need to tell you. And I'm like, oh shit. Here it comes, right? Like right. At this point, it's like, this could be anything. So he says, I know we just started talking and this has never happened to me before. And I don't really know how to handle the situation, but I felt like I should tell you that I actually just started talking to your friend as well. And I was kind of like, oh, how did he know? And he's like, she happened to just send me a picture of her and you're in it. And it was a picture from the night before. She and I had gone out together the night before. Taking a picture, and she just happened to send it to him. And like, I think they were talking about like, how recent are your pictures on your profile? And so she was like, last night or whatever. And I was like, oh, and I was like, okay. And I'm like, does she know? And he's like, I just sent her the same message. So I'm like, cool. Okay. So then I immediately text her and I'm like, I'm like, I just started talking to him. And she's like, so did I. And I was like, okay. So like, as far as I'm concerned, neither of us even know if we're really that interested. So let's just play this out. And if one of us is like, hey, I kind of like him, then we just need to have a conversation.
Right.
So this guy though, I mean, this all worked itself out in the end because turns out he was lying about his name, his age, So you know how like on, I don't know if Android does this, but on Apple, you know, if somebody sends you a text message, it'll come up and it'll be like, maybe Chris.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's what happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't even remember what this guy's name was, but like his name was David and it comes up as like, maybe Bill, and you're like, what? Wow. And so I said something about, I'm like, why is this coming up as your name is, Bill and not David? And he's like, oh, it did that? That's weird. And I'm like, it's not really weird. Apple does this all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, well, that's my middle name. He's like, I just don't have it on Bumble, and I was like, that seems a little bit weird, but I was still sort of okay to go with it.
Right.
And so then one of my, as I call them, the sister wives from the polygamy group, she's like super, she's so good for me because I'm so like fly by the seat of my pants sometimes. And she's so like cautious that she immediately like background checks him. And she's like, well, that is his middle name, but he's this old. And it says here he's been divorced twice and he's got like 3 DUIs. And I'm like, what is going on? DUIs were from when he was like 20. And I was like, I mean, I'm willing to cut some slack. The guy's in his 40s now. Like people are dumb when they're young and make stupid mistakes.
For sure.
Okay, whatever. Like who knows? So I ended up, because the conversation really was great with him and I'm such an idiot, I go out with him. And it was fine, but I was like, I'm not into him. I don't like him.
Okay. All right.
So I text Darcy and I'm like, I'm not into him. Here's the red flags that my friend found. Whatever you want to do with that information, make your own decisions, but this is what I know. That's not his name. It's not his age, and she's like, well, that doesn't sit well with me. And I'm like, yeah, no, it shouldn't sit well with me. Clearly.
You know what? What's bizarre to me about that is he lied about all that stuff, but he came clean about the picture right away. That's interesting.
It was, and so like in his defense, I don't wonder if, you know, he's embarrassed to say that he was divorced twice.
Was he a lot older?
No, he was younger.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
If I remember correct, I swear he was younger.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
yeah.
it was like 2 years or something. Oh, because that's what it was. It was the typical, guys do this all the time. It won't change on Bumble and I don't know how to fix it. And I'm like,
Lies.
But Bumble like makes you confirm like 50 times. Are you sure this is your age? Is this your actual birthday? Do you want to press yes? If you press yes, you can't go back. Like Bumble makes you confirm it.
Right.
Like
Right.
I'm like,
right.
You can't really fuck it up. And like,
right.
And you can't change it. I will give you that. You have to delete your profile and start again once you fucked it up. But like, how'd you fuck it up? Like, it's really hard.
And at the same time, like I get like some guys are like, hey, I'd like to have a younger girl, so I'm going to do that. But like, hey, by the way, just so you know, Bumble, I fucked up. I lied. I'm actually a little older. You're like, I just believe everyone's going to check anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, at
That's
this point, I feel like if you're on a dating app and you don't think somebody's background checking you, the minute they get your phone number or last name, you're an idiot.
Yes. 100%.
And like, Google yourself. They can find out a shitload of information.
All the time. I Googled myself all the time, but that's vanity. That's just vanity.
Well, according to Google, I'm married to my mother. So
oh, really? That's not even a Utah thing. That's more of a Kentucky thing, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I saw that, I was like,
I'm married. That's really on Google?
Too. And I was like, that's my mom.
What? How does that even come up in a search engine? Oh, shit.
I'm guessing because she's on my phone contract. I don't know.
Oh, God, that's so bizarre. I don't even know what to say about that. How long ago did that happen?
That was like just this like September, October.
Really? Damn.
It might have even been. Yeah, I want to say it was around September, October, because it was right after I didn't get back on the dating apps until things with the polygamist had ended. And so that was in September or the first week of October. So, yeah.
How long did it take for you to get back on the wagon after the polygamist? Like, did you take some time of like, I just don't want to even talk to guys anymore? Or did you get right back on?
So last March, I was like, I don't want to date anymore. I'm tired of this. I was, quote, with the polygamist, and we were not exclusive other than we were supposed to be sexually exclusive, which clearly was not the case. So I did still have things going on with him, but I went completely off the apps last year from March until October. So things ended with him in October, and I went on the apps purely as it's the first time I'd gone on the apps with this mentality. Normally I'm on the apps, like I'm looking for something serious. I want a relationship, but like, we'll see what happens. Like, if it doesn't happen, fine. But I'm not like a person who's great at like casually dating. And so I went back on the apps in October, not thinking I was even like remotely ready to date in a real way, but just to like be distracted. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because like the worst place to be, for almost anybody is I just don't want to be in my head, and that's like idle time. Get out there and like let's just rate crazy from 1 to 10 and see what's out there.
Yes, I was just like, this will entertain me, and it'll give me something else to talk about and think about and whatever. So that's kind of where I was at that point.
Thank you for being along for the ride of the Swipe Wrong podcast. Remember, everyday people telling everyday stories of the swipe right world. The show is produced by Jay Pelham. He is the host of Pelham Place. So make sure to check that out. Also, I am Chaos, the host of Chaotic Commentary. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, tell a friend about the pod. And if you have something that you want to share, please, we want to hear from everybody and get everybody's stories as much as we possibly can. Email us at swipewrongpod@gmail.com. Give us a call, leave us a voicemail, let us know if it's okay to call you back. 317-426-6616. Thanks for being along for the ride, and next week the saga continues.
Swipe wrong. Swipe wrong.